Local, trusted. This is News 3 at 10 on KBTX.
We begin with breaking news tonight in the Houston area. There is a massive manhunt happening right now for this man. He's believed to be the lone gunman responsible for a deadly shooting at a Catholic church in Cypress. The Harris County Sheriff says 62-year-old Arthur Edigan shot and killed his estranged wife tonight. He also shot his daughter, but she survived.
This all started just after 7 o'clock tonight. Deputies say the suspect fired several shots into the victim's vehicle in the parking lot of the church. He then took off running from that area. His 31-year-old daughter was taken to a hospital in critical condition. The suspect's wife was 66 years old and died at the scene. That church, which holds nightly classes, remains on lockdown tonight. No one else was hurt in that shooting.
We'll continue to follow that breaking news out of Cypress and update you throughout the newscast. We're also following this heartbreaking story. Houston police are investigating how a 9-year-old boy got his hands on a gun before he shot and killed his cousin. Investigators say that the two boys were playing with the gun at a home before the weapon accidentally went off. The other boy, who's the same age, was later found with a gunshot wound, and he passed away at a hospital. The district attorney's office there in Harris County will decide whether or not anyone will be facing charges, because at this point, Houston police are still trying to figure out who owns the gun.
Back here at home, you've been getting several calls tonight. I imagine all those callers are wondering about the freeze, about the cold, what the weather's going to do the next few days.
There's a lot happening. We had a beautiful day today. You've got the kind of rainy conditions that may move in tomorrow. You got cold blowing in this weekend. Then some of those calls have been about the lunar eclipse that's happening on Sunday evening. So lots of things happening in the sky and blowing your way as well. Let me get you a pretty little look here, though, as we wrapped up this beautiful day. It may have been warm for this time of the year. Sent in by weather watcher Julia Parton off the shores of Lake Madison. See those high clouds in the distance? Gave us a beautiful sunset, but as they usually do, those high clouds mean more changes are coming to the Brazos Valley. It is a mess of weather across the western half of the country. That is the upper level system that's going to touch most of the United States. Now tomorrow, temperatures in the 60s, 70s, maybe for parts of Texas, close to 80 degrees. It's your last mile day for a bit. Cold front starts blowing down the plains, 40s in Kansas, 20s in Nebraska, single digits in teens when you get up towards the Dakotas. So here's what we have for you. The colder air will be moving in, maybe a chance for rain by Friday night, and then big wind on Saturday. But first, may have some areas of dense fog in the morning. We'll get you caught up on all of it here in just a few minutes.
President Trump today fired back at House Speaker Nancy Pelosi one day after she asked him to postpone the State of the Union address. Well, now the president is telling Nancy Pelosi that she will not have any access to military aircraft for a trip that she was planning overseas.
They both used the partial government shutdown as the reason. Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
One day after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi sent President Trump a letter asking him to postpone his State of the Union address until the shutdown stalemate ends, the president fired back with his own letter. He told the House Speaker her trip to Belgium and Afghanistan aboard a military jet was postponed because, quote, it would be better if you were in Washington negotiating with me to end the shutdown. President Trump called the trip a public relations event and suggested Pelosi could fly commercial.
Having been to Afghanistan, I can tell you it's not a political trip. It's a dangerous one.
The White House published the letter less than an hour before Speaker Pelosi and several lawmakers were set to depart. California Democrat Adam Schiff was part of the delegation.
It certainly sounds like it was another impetuous act of a president.
But as the shutdown reached day 27, Republicans stood by the president.
She has been clear she will do nothing to fund the border. I think she ought to stay here until it gets done.
Earlier at the Pentagon, President Trump focused blame on Speaker Pelosi.
While many Democrats in the House and Senate would like to make a deal, Speaker Pelosi will not let them negotiate. The party has been hijacked by the open borders fringe within the party.
What negotiating table are we not at?
Late Thursday, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said in a statement that due to the shutdown, the president has canceled his delegation's trip to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
And Vice President Pence and senior White House advisor Jared Kushner met today with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. They met at Capitol Hill, and Mitch McConnell said that all of this was still being discussed at this time.
Well, the congressman who represents most of the Brazos Valley in the U.S. House of Representatives agrees with President Donald Trump that no bill shall pass or be passed to reopen the government without funding for a border barrier. We spoke with Congressman Bill Flores today from D.C., and he and his fellow lawmakers grapple with the longest shutdown in U.S. history. Flores says he doesn't expect the full $5.7 billion the president wants, and he doesn't care if it's called a wall. However, when asked if he was pledging to reject any deal with the Democrats that did not include border barrier funding, this is what he said.
If we don't get border security taken care of at all, the cost of border insecurity is multiple times higher than the cost of border security. So yes, I am hung up as well on the fact that we've got to have a border barrier funding component to any funding bill that comes out of this Congress.
This longer conversation from First News at 4 is online now at KBTX.com.
And a lot of local organizations are coming together to help those who've been affected by the shutdown. Project Unity and organizations like the Salvation Army, United Way, and Catholic Charities, they're all offering services to anybody who's been furloughed and scrambling to make ends meet.
They are worried. They have not received a check in over 30 days. They have kids in school, and they don't know when the shutdown will end. And so they're worried, and it's causing a lot of stress on the household.
And some local families are even asking for emotional support like counseling.
Well, since the start of the new year, hospitals are required by law to list standard prices online. The new law is meant to give patients easier access to already public prices.
News 3's McKenna Rodriguez has a look on just how accurate those online prices are.
The goal was simple: let you, the consumer, know what you can expect to pay for medical services at a hospital. But Dr. Lon Young with Caprock says while the intention is good, the information shared isn't always accurate.
So even if you can find a way of comparing two services, that's just the price the hospital sends to the insurance company. The insurance company then decides what the actual cost of that service is going to be.
Dr. Lon Young says there are a few stipulations about how the information needs to be listed. He says their pricing information online is meant to be as easy to understand as possible.
More of a description that a layperson could read and determine what the service was, so that it helps a person to identify it both by a code number and a descriptor, and then the price that we'll send to their insurance company.
Congressman Bill Flores says the online pricing law is a good starting point to get consumers helpful information. Healthcare is one of the only sectors where there is no price transparency for consumers. This needs to change to match the rest of our 21st century economy. While some hospitals assert that price lists can be confusing for patients, I believe that making this information accessible is a big step in the right direction. Healthcare price transparency will allow patients to have better information, and it will facilitate lower healthcare costs. Dr. Lon Young advises patients to seek accurate prices from insurance companies.
Ask them what's the best option from a cost perspective.
In Bryan, McKenna Rodriguez, News 3.
Caprock says state and federal law requires all insurance companies to pay the same amount for emergency care no matter where you go.
A Houston police officer is receiving some special care here in College Station. T-Rex is a canine officer with the Houston Police Department. He was at the Texas A&M Small Animal Hospital today. He is battling bone cancer in one of his legs. Tomorrow, he has to undergo surgery to have a leg amputated. His handler, Officer Paul Foster with HPD, plans to have him back on the job soon.
He'll come back for explosive work, and T-Rex is a big demo dog. He's a big lover, and he loves meeting kids and different people. And so we do a lot of demos in Houston.
T-Rex is a good candidate for amputation because he's an athlete. He's an athletic dog with that's lean, and he'll be good to go on 3 legs.
The Belgian Malinois will have to follow up with chemotherapy. He's used as an explosive sniffing and manhunt searching officer for the department. He is expected to go on lighter duty following the surgery.
RX Bar is recalling a wide variety of its protein bars. They're heavily marketed as containing all natural ingredients, but they may contain some peanuts that are not declared in the ingredients list. A full list of which RX bars are being recalled is available on both the company's website and the FDA's websites. America's most popular vehicle is going electric. Ford will make an all-electric version of the F-150 pickup truck. No other details about it are being released at this time, including when it might be available. But the company had previously announced that it would make a hybrid version of the truck, and the all-electric truck would be in addition to that. Ford's F-Series trucks have been the best-selling vehicle in America for 4 decades straight. The trucks account for about 1/3 of all of Ford Motor Company sales.
Still ahead, we'll have the scores in this week's restaurant report card in about 10 minutes.
Coming up in sports, we'll join Texas A&M track and field head coach Pat Henry to take a tour of the new Aggies Outdoor Stadium.
Friday morning could start with fog for some of us, dense in spots as well, and it all ends with rain and a little bit of colder air coming in for all of us. We'll get to the details on the changes over the next 24 to 36 hours. Pinpoint forecast is up next.
Closed captioning on News 3 is sponsored by Brenham Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram.
Shop us 24/7 at BrenhamHasIt.com.
News 3 weather from the Pinpoint Forecast team is sponsored by the Bank and Trust, local bank, local bankers, and now local weather.
On this day in January, we typically expect temperatures to top off around the low 60s. It may have been a little warm, but there was no rain and we had sunshine. It was a nice day to get out to. Room temperature here in Bryan-College Station for our afternoon high. Caldwell the same, Brenham over there. 71 degrees in Conroe, some 60s up to the north, but still mighty pleasant considering how drippy, drizzly, and a little cold yesterday was. Temperatures for tomorrow, still 60s and 70s across the Lone Star State. The coldest air that's going to break free from the north is going to miss the state of Texas just to the east, but we are getting part of that. We still expect a pretty big change as we head into your weekend. It is 56 degrees right now here in town. Again, for this time of the year, while cool, a little quote-unquote warm is for a 10 o'clock hour temperature. Northeast winds light at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. We do have some 40s rather out across our northern counties. Otherwise, it is the low to mid 50s. Double Nichols checks in from Anderson, Navasota. Back over towards you folks at this 10 o'clock hour in Caldwell. Now in the morning, this isn't necessarily for everybody, but you may want to get out the door at least a couple minutes early because as we run your pinpoint forecast here, we're collecting moisture. I think at the least we have low clouds overhead, but at the most we have some areas of fog and some of those spots may be locally dense. We're talking about visibilities lower than half a mile to maybe near zero. Now, if you get out the door early and you don't run into any fog, you at least have a couple extra minutes to grab a cup of coffee before work or school tomorrow. And if we get socked in with the fog, it could linger as long as about 10 or 11 o'clock. Max Crawford, of course, will be with you on Brazos Valley this morning, tomorrow morning, to get you updated before you do have to hit the roadways, especially in the outlying areas. So we'll call it the potential for fog, cloudy skies, temperature of about 50 degrees when you wake up. Average for this time of the year is the low 40s. Foggy morning, mainly a cloudy afternoon. We'll try to get a few little peaks of blue sky here and there. One more mild day. 70 is what we aim for, some upper 60s as well, and a 30% chance for a few spotty showers in the afternoon. Mainly in our southern counties, nothing big to slow you down, but a little rain may try to fall from those overcast skies as we also have a wind blowing in from the south and the southwest at about 5 to 15, gusting as high as 25 miles per hour. And that is slow compared to where we're heading into the weekend. As the cold front blows in tomorrow night, we'll be monitoring at this time because I think midnight to 2 o'clock is your chance for rain. It's a 50% potential, but it is a very pessimistic 50% chance for rain and maybe a few rumbles of thunder in that very short 2-hour period. That moves on past. There could be some snow as close, say, as north and northeast Texas. No snow, no wintry precipitation in the Brazos Valley, but some very strong winds gusting 30, 40 miles per hour and temperatures that will be coming down at least for the first half of your day. The cold front now looks to come in a few hours earlier, meaning it will be cold by the time you wake up at breakfast, but it also means we get a chance to rebound a bit Saturday afternoon. So here's your temperature track. This is 2 o'clock in the morning. Cold front's not here yet, but as we head through the early morning hours and sunrise, we wake up to 45. It feels like 34 here in Bryan-College Station. Winds are already howling at 30 miles per hour. We'll continue to drop till about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Wind chill is expected to tank between 30 and 32. That's the important number. That's what you're dressing for if you're stepping out of the house. And as we head into the afternoon, a little bit of sunshine. Highs are back into the upper 40s, but it still feels like the 30s all day long. Overnight lows Saturday night into Sunday morning. A light freeze is possible for the Brazos Valley. Monday morning, we've got temperatures in the 30s, but it looks like most of us may skip a freeze there. Earlier in the week, a hard freeze was looking possible. Now a light freeze. That means you need to protect the plants. Every time I do that. Every time. The plants, the pets, put on your pants, but also you don't have to worry about the pipes this time around. We will find temperatures freezing, just not pipe bursting type of freeze. And it's always a good idea to wear pants in winter.
You know, sometimes the cops get involved and it's just a whole mess.
By the end of winter, I'll get it all down when I don't have to
Stay inside your house. Thank you, Shel.
You live your life how you want to.
Still ahead, the restaurant report card.
You're watching News 3 at 10 on KBTX with Carla Castillo, Rusty Surratt, weather with Shel Winkley, and sports with Daryl Broffett on KBTX News 3, local, trusted.
From hamburgers to pizza, well, you want to make sure your favorite foods are safe to eat.
I love me some pizza, but this is why we do the restaurant report card every Thursday night. Applebee's receives an 86. Inspectors noted fruit flies in the bar area and the kitchen, and someone's personal food was on the food prep line. China Walk Express on Villa Maria near Texas Avenue earns an 87. Points off for black debris inside of an ice machine and raw meat being stored in grocery bags. Raw shrimp and chicken were also found stored next to ready-to-eat meals. McDonald's on Highway 6 South near Tower Point has a 93. Employees were seen handling food without hair restraints, and there was rust buildup on an ice scoop holder inside of an ice machine. The Burger King on Texas Avenue in College Station has a 96. Black residue was found on an ice chute lever on the soda fountain machine. And our Star Plate Award this week goes to the Domino's on Highway 6 in South College Station. We've got more scores online right now at KBTX.com. And remember, restaurants, keep it clean. We're watching.
Coming up in sports, we will take you on a tour of the Aggie track and field team's new outdoor stadium. Plus, head to Merrill Green Stadium for a crosstown showdown on the soccer pitch. Stay with us. Those stories and more are next.
Sports is sponsored by Allen Honda, corner of Southwest Parkway and Highway 6. Allen's got your Honda. From the KBTX Sports Center, News 3 Sports starts now.
When the Texas A&M men's and women's track teams returned to campus for the spring semester, they moved in to the brand new E.B. Cushing Track Stadium. As Daryl Broffett reports, the team's new home is not completely finished, but that's not keeping the coaches and athletes from feeling right at home.
Coming back here, this is probably the biggest Christmas gift that all of us could have received. We're so excited to actually finally be in here because it's definitely been a long time coming.
In fact, 2004 was the last time that the Frank G. Anderson Track and Field Complex hosted an outdoor meet. That's been 15 years ago, when most of today's track athletes didn't even know Texas A&M was located in College Station. The team is thrilled to call the new $39 million E.B. Cushing Track Stadium home. The athletes, all big fans of the new lounge.
It's such a blessing to finally be in here and have a place of our own and where we can just come and be with each other and relax before practice and even have get-togethers.
The Training and Recovery Center may not be a favorite place, but a huge upgrade, especially the warm and cool tubs to help with injuries, and multi-eventer Tyra Giddens made no bones about the impact the new facility is making. A little different than what you had before?
Oh yeah, but it's a lot better. A lot more space. And it's less crowded, and you know, I feel like I get more attention here than a whole bunch of other athletes all in one small space.
Head coach Pat Henry has been coaching track for decades and finally was able to build a facility incorporating a lot of the ideas he has gathered over the years, down to a place for the athletes to park their bikes. Despite all the bells and whistles that will make up the new home for the Aggie track team, it's the unassuming Randy Matson meeting room that is his favorite, because he's finally able to provide a chair for all of his athletes and assistants to sit in during their weekly team meetings.
I actually feel like we can communicate in a room like this. We can get some things done. We had a little bit of a chip on our shoulder at the other facility, and we're starting to take those chips away, and that's a good thing.
Coach Henry has made it a point to decorate the facility not only with reminders to the great Aggie track athletes that have paved the way over the years for Cushing to become a reality, but also sayings and statements to continue to encourage the athletes and the coaches to become one of the greats.
I think it's always good for all of us to be reminded, not just, I mean, it's coaches too. It's not just athletes, but yeah, I think that's part of the message we're trying to send.
Workers are continuing to work through the rainy weather, and everyone's anxious to see that much needed stretch of dry days when the track surface can finally be laid down. The Reveille Outdoor Meet is just 80 days away. Daryl Bruffett, News 3 Sports.
Thank you, Daryl. The Crosstown Showdown rivalry renewed tonight at Merrill Green Stadium as the Bryan boys soccer team faced A&M Consolidated. First half, Jackson Ely looking to break a scoreless tie, but Santos Carrillo able to make the save. Later in the opening half, Jacob Henser on the move, and his shot does find the back of the net. That proves to be the difference. A&M Consolidated beats Bryan 1-0 at the Waller ISD tournament. The College Station boys beat Belleville 6-1. AJ Pineda, 4 goals and an assist. At the Georgetown Governor's Cup, the College Station girls beat Eastview 6-0. The A&M Consolidated girls lost to Wiley East 3-0. And back to the story that we saw at the very beginning of the track stadium. I'll be honest with you, Carla and Rusty were oohing and ahhing.
Oh, that is amazing. Makes me wish I could, well, I want to run fast and be talented that way anyway, but they deserve it. Good job for them, and congrats to the coach.
It's a beautiful facility. Fans will have a great time watching outdoor track this year.
It is impressive. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Stick around. Michelle has another check of the forecast coming up after this.
Tonight's winning lottery numbers, sponsored by Star Furniture and Mattresses.
We have the chance to find a few problem spots first thing in the morning. Some areas of dense fog here and there through the Brazos Valley, at least until about 9-10 o'clock. We'll try to clear that up enough to find at least a peak of sunshine here and there, but a few spotty showers may also drift through in the afternoon. It's 70 on Friday. It says 48 on Saturday, but that's not factoring in that wind that could be gusting at times 30, 40. So let's just pretend that that temperature actually says about 39, because I think that's at best what it feels like Saturday afternoon.
I'm digging MLK Day, what it's looking like right now. I know there's that big march in the Bryan area. We want to get a lot of people out there and to not be discouraged by the weather.
A little cold in the morning, but looking like a good day.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.